This past weekend, I'd returned my son to school at UNCW, which is along the Atlantic coast in North Carolina, after which I stopped by 3 charging stations and did site reviews of each. And I thought it would be worthwhile to discuss the differences between each one of the charging stations. They receive scores, but I think there's a little bit more to be told in this story. The first station I stopped at was the largest on the East Coast. It's a Tesla Supercharger station at a convenience store called the Oasis, right off Interstate 95. And it's not uncommon for Tesla Supercharger stations to be a good deal off the interstate. There's a pretty popular one in Columbia, South Carolina that has Magic Dock included in its offering. It's one of the few Magic Dock stations in the Southeast. But it's probably a good mile and a half off the interstate. So although it's there and it's available, and South Carolina is pretty sparse as far as charging goes, it's pretty far off the interstate. This one, though, was just immediately off the interstate, and the attached facility was very nice. One thing about Tesla Supercharger stations that is very obvious, the Tesla Supercharger mission, I guess, is a way of describing it, is really designed in order to bare minimum fuel electric vehicles in order to make the ownership of an electric vehicle viable. That was really what the Tesla Supercharger's mission was in the beginning. And as I understand, I don't know the specifics, as I understand, a portion of every Tesla that is sold, the profits from that go to building Tesla Supercharger stations. And I think they also do them geographically. So if a lot of Teslas are sold in a certain area, they get more superchargers put into that area. I'm not 100% sure, but I believe that's how it goes. And in this particular case, there's not a lot of people around here, so I don't think it's tied to the number of Tesla sales in the area. This is a interstate future-proof station that was put in order to accommodate the future demand for electric vehicle charging up and down a very heavily traveled corridor. So this would be supporting people who bought Teslas in other areas that were doing road trips. However, there is still the palatable feel that the Tesla Supercharger mission of just bare minimum trying to supply electric fuel to EV owners kind of permeates. And like the solar canopy is cool because it collects electricity, and I believe there was no batteries on site, but I believe it powers the lighting for the canopy and also some of the other lights. I'm not quite sure, unless they tie that into the grid and then they feed it back and they recoup some of the electricity, in which case it's more of a benefit for the Tesla Supercharger economics than for owners. I mean, obviously we get the shade and everything, but while I was there, it was actually leaking because the photovoltaic panels have gaps between them, and so the water perforates through it, and it leaks pretty bad. So it doesn't really keep the rain off, but it does keep the sun off when it's directly coming down, which is nice. And also, these are all V4 dispensers, 250 kilowatts, very ample at a location that is attached to a facility. However, I still think, because looking around, I'm pretty sure that the garbage cans, the pet station, the windshield squeegees, all those things are provided by the attached facility. I don't think Tesla paid in order to have all those put on. In fact, while I was there was a guy wearing kind of like an orange vest who was going around doing the maintenance for the site, kind of what you see at a travel center, the people in the golf carts. And so I don't think Tesla did that. I think all they did is they showed up and they put in a bunch of chargers and they're gone like Donkey Kong. And unfortunately, that's all too common with Tesla Supercharger stations, is that they have there's kind of a feel when you pull into a Tesla Supercharger station. Here, you could charge your electric vehicle. You're welcome. Don't bother us. There's no phone numbers. There is a thing in the Tesla app if you want to complain where you can submit feedback. It's kind of strange, though. When you try to submit feedback, there's just like put in your words here, and then there's no submit button. You have to press X, and it closes out, and you're not sure if it got submitted or not. And you never hear back or anything. There's nothing like that. So, and if you go into the convenience store and say, "Hey, your electric vehicle chargers aren't working," they're like, "We have no idea what we can't help you. That's somebody else's." So there is always that feel with the Tesla Supercharger stations that they're not an unwelcome guest, but they're being tolerated to be there, but Tesla doesn't own the property. They're renting or leasing the property. There's kind of a mutually beneficial arrangement with the site host, but there's always a permeable feel of bare minimum services with Tesla Supercharger stations. At least that's how I always feel when I pull into a Tesla Supercharger station. Cables are short, stalls are kind of cramped. And there's no one with a Tesla insignia on their shirt walking around providing any kind of services. There never is. I've never seen anything. No phone numbers, and charge up and go, and off you go. So, although it is the largest one, and what is scored very high. I mean, on the Matrix, this station scored higher than any other station I have scored in all the ones that I have ever done. So it scored very well. However, I do have to say that there is a bit of a lack of driver focus in this station. The next one I stopped at was the iONNA Rechargery in Apex, North Carolina. This is completely opposite side of the spectrum. It is totally driver focused. They sat there and they thought, if I was an EV driver, what would I want at a charging station? And they just did creative thinking over and over again until they came up with what we have here, which is canopy, which has lights under it. It has squeegees, it has garbage cans, it has paper towels in the stalls. It has the fastest chargers that are able to be purchased, the Alpitronic 400 kilowatt chargers with the very nice articulating 5-meter cables, and an attached facility that they built from scratch that has an attendant serving fresh baked goods. And wait, there's more. You could play video games for free video games. And if you want to churn out some work because your car is going to be charging for 40 minutes and you're on a business road trip, you could check into one of the conference rooms and have a private space with free Wi-Fi. Free Wi-Fi throughout, very clean restrooms, vending machines. The vending machines and restrooms are open 24/7, 365 using a QR code for access through a locked door. The bakery and cafe is only open during business hours, but still, every possible thing you could possibly want. And there's a really cool retro vibe. So it's fun, it's vibrant. They're not doing bare necessities. This is a well thought out, customer focused, want you to come back experience. In fact, it's also attracting a lot of locals who go walking by. They stop by and they go into the bakery. I saw that twice while I was there. So it's not just people who are driving EVs. It's kind of like a community asset where EV drivers get to have a place to charge their cars, but also people in the community get to come and have a really cool spot in their downtown in order to hang out. And then the last station I stopped at was the Flying J Travel Center in Graham, North Carolina, where Interstate 40 and 85 coalesce into a 10-lane behemoth for a certain stretch of way. So there's 5 lanes going in each direction right around here. And Pilot Flying J have 3 stations within a very short amount of space. I think it's about 1 mile, maybe 2 miles, where there's 3 of them. And at this exit, there's actually 2 facilities, a Pilot and a Flying J immediately across the street from each other. The Flying J has a 24/7, 365 Denny's and a full travel center with showers. If you want to do laundry while you're there, you can bring your laundry and get your laundry done. Fresh fruit and hot bar, any snack available. I mean, in this location, if I wanted to select a Mountain Dew, I think I'd have to choose between 8 different varieties of just Mountain Dew. I mean, it's a huge convenience store and travel center in there. So what this is a utility truck stop whose mission in life is to fuel vehicles. And they've obviously decided that electric vehicles are here to stay a while ago, and decided what they were going to do about it was take advantage of a partnership that General Motors was offering in order to have General Motors branded electric vehicle chargers put on their property that they would operate So I believe, I don't know the details, but I believe the way this works is General Motors provides the actual hardware, and then Pilot Flying J pays for the installation of the chargers, and then they operate them going forward. I'm not sure, but I believe that's kind of how the agreement works. I've been reading the tea leaves, and I think that's kind of how it works. So it's mutually beneficial. Actually, it's mutually beneficial three ways, with EVgo getting an expansion of their network, with General Motors getting their branded electric vehicle chargers in prominent locations, and Pilot Flying J getting electric customers to come onto their properties. So their mission continues in order to provide fuel to vehicles that need to have a refuel as they're doing a road trip. And then they have every possible amenity that someone in that circumstance would want, which is really great. So of the three, if I had to, like, if all three of these were right on the same exit, I'd probably go, it's tough to say. I like the fun, vibrant aspect of the iONNA. I probably wouldn't go to the Tesla. It's just too stark and Spartan, I guess, is a good way of describing, which is also part of the whole Tesla motif, which is very Spartan, very minimalist. You know, here's your car, it's going to work, but don't ask for anything else, you know. So if all three of these were on the same exit, I would have a difficult time choosing between Pilot Flying J and iONNA. I mean, the Flying J had a more extensive amount of, there's vending machines than the iONNA rechargery, but the convenience store or travel center in the Flying J is more extensive. And also the sit-down restaurant was really nice. I went down, I sat down and I had some food while my car was charging. That was very luxurious to be able to go inside a facility that's open 24/7, 365, sit down, have table service brought to me at a very reasonable price, friendly people who welcome me. In fact, me and the maitre d' talked for a good 10 minutes back and forth about, I live in Concord, North Carolina, which is the headquarters of NASCAR. So there's a lot of NASCAR teams around here. And we were talking NASCAR and racing and things, and me dreaming of taking my wife's Cadillac onto a track, which will never happen, to see how fast it would go. Anyway, so I think if I had to choose, I would probably turn into the Flying J, just because the amenities are more extensive. But iONNA would be a close second, and then the Tesla Supercharger would be kind of a distant third if all these other ones were already full. Anyway, I thought it'd provide a little bit of personal color on the charging station reviews that I recently did, 3 of which in short succession, and just provided a little personal color. Anyway, thanks for watching.